ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to EBC World English News with the news. I'm Shifar Aulako. And do stay with us as I take you through our selected brief updates for the hour. Right after the following top stories. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says Ethiopia's quest to a sea outlet is genuine, not meant to rattle any port custodian in the Horn. Peace and Security Council and UN's Peace Building Commission agreed to cooperate for sustainable peace in Africa. Now, the House of People's Representatives has conducted its fourth regular session of the sixth year and third tenure in the presence of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. The Prime Minister responded to the queries from the parliamentarians regarding the 2023-2024 work plan of the federal government that was presented by President Sahle-Work Zewde at the previous meeting. The issue of getting access to sea and alternative port through win-win approach is among the priority issues of the parliament that were addressed by the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the recently declared state of emergency has brought about relative peace and order in the Amhara regional state, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed told members of the parliament. Responding to the questions raised by members of the parliament, Premier Abiy said that from the outset, the state of emergency was declared to enforce rule of law. It has also thwarted the illegal attempt to dismantle the regional government, he added. However, Premier Abiy underscored that further work and discussion are needed to bring about lasting peace. It would be appreciable if Tigray and Amhara come to resolution about the contested areas through dialogue, Abiy stated, and added that the government is working with the people to resolve it through a referendum. Work is also underway to resolve the contested areas between Amhara and Tigray in compliance with the law, prioritizing sustainable peace and togetherness among the people, he elaborated.
Garden. Should be a bunch of plants that are native to Ethiopia. Taitu, who was Menelik's queen, Nigisiti Taitu, and she did a lot. She actually started the school systems in Ethiopia.
Welcome back, and now let's move to stories selected for detailed analysis. Ethiopia's quest for access to the sea is in line with its unwavering principle of mutual benefit with its neighbors. Addressing the members of the 547-seat parliament, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed reiterated that Ethiopia's request for a seaport should not rattle any custodians of port from among the neighboring countries. Shagamata takes it from here.
Responding to queries raised by parliamentarians at the third year fourth regular session, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed underlined that Ethiopia deserves to have access to the sea because of historical, geopolitical and economic reasons. That access can be attained through negotiations and dialogue. It has to stop being a taboo to discuss this issue.
Regarding ports, I would like Ethiopians, port custodians from among our neighbors as well as the international community to recognize our genuine interest to grow. True, the Red Sea politics continues to be dynamic. Now the million-dollar question is, where should Ethiopia resort to for its importers for the upkeep of its 120 million plus people if and when conflict arises?
There are many options, Abiy said, adding the nation could lease it, purchase it or develop it together. He told MPs that Addis Ababa is working with Kenya on the Lamu port. Ethiopia has a legitimate right to discuss this issue, according to him.
Ethiopia's quest should not rattle any port custodian, including Eritreans. This genuine quest does not compromise Eritrean sovereignty in any way. We are building a case here much similar to that of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The flagship project is meant to snap Ethiopia out of poverty, but not harm Egypt's share of water. We will produce enough electricity without endangering Sudan and Egypt. By the same token, the quest to a seaport is all about growing together.
Regarding Ethiopia's accession to the BRICS, Ahmed reassured lawmakers that Ethiopia's interest lies in backing the sustainable development goals, as opposed to siding with any particular bloc.
In another development, while briefing the House of People's Representatives, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said that Ethiopia has doubled its GDP over the past 5 years from around 84 billion to about 164 billion US by following multi-sectoral economic approach. Responding to questions forwarded to him by members of the parliament during the fourth regular session of the House of People's Representatives, Abiy said that macroeconomic stability is one of the main priorities of the homegrown economic reform agenda. Tigisternisa presents the story as follows.
Briefing House of People's Representatives, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed stressed that even though in the past 5 years there have been various man-made and natural challenges in Ethiopia and in other parts of the world, including conflicts, COVID-19, pressure of fluctuation of the international trade system, among others. By following multi-sectoral economic approach for the first time in the country's history, the country's GDP has grown double amid the aforementioned challenges. The last 5 years, Ethiopia's GDP has increased from $84 billion to $164 billion, the Premier affirmed. The Premier further noted that per capita income increased from $882 to $1,549. According to the PM, this data was not only stated by the Ethiopian government, but also confirmed by the International Monetary Fund, IMF.
Back then, when we took over office, Ethiopia's GDP was nearly $84 billion, but now it is nearly $164 billion. This is according to IMF's report, not only Ethiopian government's report. The per capita income has also reached 1,549 USD from 882 USD 5 years ago, which registers double growth.
Abiy further indicated that Ethiopia is one of the few countries from Africa and around the world that are registering fast economic growth.
Ethiopia's development growth globally or regionally has been registered as one of fastest growing economies. This is indeed a known fact. So does this mean that all problems in every household has been solved? Well, I would say our core responsibility is not only to solve every household's problems, rather create a benchmark to alleviate these deep-rooted problems. This country has been in poverty for thousands of years, so changing that in only 10 years will not be possible. I bet rather we laid a cornerstone for the coming generation to win these economic challenges they would face.
During the current fiscal year, the nation has set a target of increasing the overall economic growth to 7.5% by strengthening the efforts being made in multifaceted sectors it was linked.
And finally, the Peace and Security Council of the African Union and the United Nations Peace Building Commission have agreed to intensify efforts for peace building in Africa. This remark came at the 6th annual informal consultative meeting of the Peace and Security Council of AU and UN Peace Building Commission. The meeting was focused on enhancing cooperation in peace building initiatives throughout Africa. Johannes Fontaine reports.
Developing meaningful collaboration, strengthening synergy, and the creation of sustainable peace network were among the priorities of the discussion at the 6th annual informal consultative meeting of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union and the United Nations Peace Building Commission, underscoring the need to intensify collaborative efforts for the peace and security and climate issues of the continent. The African Union Peace and Security Council chairperson called upon key actors to work together to prevent disputes before they degenerate to open conflicts.
Nos assises témoignent.
We must strengthen our common commitment to preventive diplomacy, working with key actors to solve disputes before they degenerate into open conflict. We must also work harder with regards to mediation, facilitation of peace talks, and capacity building at local level to promote reconciliation and social cohesion.
Informel annuel entre les deux organes.
Ivan Simonovic, chair of the UN Peace Building Commission, for his part called for a holistic approach to address the peace and security issues of Africa. According to Simonovic, the Peace Building Commission is mobilizing political, financial and technical support for regions and nations' peace building efforts.
In current geopolitical situation and deterioration of peace and security in many parts of the world, including here in Africa, sustaining peace is essential. We need, as my co-chair said, we need to engage all our forces and mechanisms to make this world peaceful and prosperous. And this can be achieved only through a holistic approach to peace and security, connecting it to development, humanitarian assistance and human rights.
This informal consultation is in line with international frameworks such as the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the AU-UN frameworks, and the AU's Silencing the Gun in Africa campaign. A new agenda for peace by the UN Secretary General to encourage more significant multilateral actions in conflict prevention and peace building has been also used in this year's session.
And with that, we come to the end of today's news. Thank you for coming.